Yo there guys, this is Cobb and this is Dueling with Cobb, the dueling series in which I duel you guys, then go over the duel, highlight certain things, explain my strategy, and point out things that I did good as well as things that I messed up. So let's get straight into the duels for this episode. This first set of duels are against a feral druid called Lilith. We had a pretty tight series, and in this first duel you're going to see how not to deal with the insane power of feral bleeds. In these duels I'm using the Shivara pet, so I can pet seduce the feral on his opener and soul link, as the duel is usually going to last over a minute, so there's going to be a lot of damage mitigated from that. Starting out the duel here, I whiplash him on his opener and I follow that up with a pet seduce. If I can stop Lilith landing his rip bleed for as long as possible, that's going to help me out a lot in getting ahead in the fight. But he's going to trinket here right away to get that off. I probably should have Shadow Fury here. That might have stopped him from landing the rip, but I instead Blood Horror, which is going to give him the split second he needs to tear a hole in my throat. I Dark Soul early while I'm able to lock him down for a little bit. I really just want to build some fast embers, but while he's sitting in this howl it becomes apparent to me that I am bleeding to death, so my heals and a couple of glyphed ember taps are going to have to come out here, and this is not fantastic for me as he's really only used an unused trinket to force these heals. I try and kite away a little bit here, but there's not a huge amount I can do, so I panic and I use a Diad pet seduce, and this is a really big mistake by me. I won't be able to fear or pet seduce him now for a long time because of this. Anyways, with it I do get up and immolate. I see he's popped Bagheera form, but I'm not too worried. I'm also ready to go ham. I Blood Horror, Dark Soul. I have a Shadow Fury after that as well. I know I need to pump out as much damage and build as many embers as I can, and he actually nearly drops here but for an NS heal. Now if I'd been able to pet seduce or Howl of Terror him before he got this heal off, he probably would have died in that fear, but of course I messed up my DRs earlier, so I was not able to do that. He really starts chowing down on my face here, which isn't cool, so I pop Unending Resolve to tank it up. Then I go ahead and land my fear, which is great, until I do this. If there was ever a time I would have greatly appreciated not landing a critical strike, it was here, and this is going to break the howl instantly. And looking back, it was a pointless risk to take. I didn't have to go for damage right away like that. If you can, always let a melee sit in a fear for as long as possible so they get distance on you. As you can see, I hold on for a while here. My CCs came back off of cooldown all over again. The problem is though, I'm having to burn every ember I get immediately on heals. It is panic time really. I didn't deal with the opener in the best way, and I messed up my DRs too hard and too often, so Lilith is going to take a well-deserved win for this one. Now this duel was played much better for me, and I only really did a couple of things differently. Again, on the opener, I whiplash to stop some damage and I seduce right out of that. And this time, after I immolate, I actually use Howl of Terror right out of that, and that's going to mean my fear and seduce DRs are going to be back sooner rather than later. He does trinket as I've Dark Souled, so I Blood Horror, looking to build embers here. I Shadow Fury even though he has used his shield wall. This first Dark Soul is really just to build embers in this matchup. I Portal, but it's going to reconnect to me now and go ham, so I trinket the bash and I use my heals. And I also should have popped Unending Resolve a little bit quicker here, but it is not a huge deal. I knock him back with Whiplash. He does a crazy little Night Elf racial trick to stealth and reconnect, and then I land a Howl and it's full. And this is because I used my first Howl of Terror right after the opening pet seduce. It's had plenty of time to come off of DR. And now he actually has nothing, and all of my mini CC cooldowns are coming back, so I let him run away from me before Dark Souling and going for the kill. I damage as much as I can. He leaps back to me, but I'm ready with Blood Horror. I go for juicy damage off of that with a Shadow Fury to follow it up, and that's going to secure me this win. An awesome series of duels we had. This next duel is against Infection the Hunter, and in my opinion, Hunters are only a problem for us Warlocks if they are BM spec'd, which Infection was not. He was survival, I believe, so he had no double trinket action going on. At the start here, I am moving my pet around a lot. I don't want her to get caught in the flare. I wanted to get off her CC rather than get herself landed in a trap, and I managed to do that. Now this opening trick here sets the tone for the entire aim of the duel for me, and that is to spam build embers. Hunters have really low self-healing, one of the lowest in the game actually. So as long as I play the Ember game, I know I should be able to outlast. So I Dark Soul and Havoc Infection's pet, and I get Lullabied here, which I will. And I do get my Immolate off, as well as a bunch of other instants. Now check my Embers out already. I got nearly 2 full Embers, as well as 2 Dark Soul Immolates ticking, which are going to bring in yet more Embers. Now he's in a deterrence because of the Dark Soul, so in that time, I'm going to hit his pet. He throws out a trap under my pet, which by trying to quickly dodge, I actually walk straight into the trap like a boss. Now he deters again here just to see out the end of this Dark Soul, and right out of that, he's going to go ham mode, so I don't hesitate. I Dark Bargain instantly on all of his cooldowns. I also see the Stampede on me, so again, looking to build up yet more Embers, I drop a Rain of Fire onto them, and after sparring for just a little bit longer, I end up having 4 Embers fully charged and my heals are ready to go. I use them here and spend 2 Embers to heal a ton of health. I keep a Rain of Fires on the Stampede. It is always a good thing to do, and now I'm just looking to keep the damage coming out. I've survived the burst and managed to completely negate it by building so many Embers so quickly. I still do have Shield Wall ready as well. I pop that at around 50% health while my Embers eventually run dry, and taking the win after that point with the Aura Mastery is pretty much guaranteed at this point. These final duels today are against Xyrox the Crazy, a warrior of Mr. Bigglesworth's fan club. He charges and I Pet Seduce, a pretty standard opener for this matchup. Then what's generally best to do is land a Blood Horror right out of the Seduce, but I go for a Shadow Fury first. It's not a huge issue, but I should have casted more in that stun I think as well. Using instants is a little bit of a waste when they can't interrupt you anyway. Now I get Warrior Feared, and for some reason that even now is absolutely beyond my comprehension, I decide to Trinket. Now if I had used Will of the Forsaken instead, I still wouldn't have been able to Trinket this Stormbolt. As Trinket and Will do share a 30-second joint cooldown, but this random act of extreme foolishness by me is probably going to come back to haunt me later on in the duel. I did manage to Blood Horror Xyrox's Stormbolt stun here, which makes me feel a little bit less lame, but I'm definitely quite far behind here. I've used Shadow Fury, 2 Pet Seducers, Blood Horror and a Dark Soul, and Xyrox is still sitting quite comfortably at 80% health, so I lob a Chaos Bolt his way to get a little more use from this Dark Soul. Now though, it is his turn. He reflects my Immolate, I portal away, he gets right back on me though and goes absolutely ham. I instantly pop my heals and Unending Resolve at the same time. Warriors are one of them classes that I'll happily stack all of my defensives on if it means I will live through their best. He pops Die by the Sword here as I bring my pet into attack. Then he uses Shield Wall, and this tells me that he wants to stay offensive, so to be honest, I'm kind of bricking it right now. My Shadow Fury and Blood Horror are back though. I do get off a Pet Seduce, and my Dark Soul is almost over, which isn't ideal, but I'd go for it anyway. It's now or never. Immolate, Shadow Fury, pray for crits, they don't happen, clench ass. I'm actually too scared to Blood Horror here, so I Pet Seduce again on his Stormbolt. I end up going for a YOLO Blood Horror anyways, but it's not going to end well, and Xyrox takes the win. My opener just wasn't strong enough. If I hadn't had the Chaos Bolt on the opener, I would have had an extra Ember for healing. My Trinket was awful, and Xyrox made no slip-up, so a well-deserved win for him definitely. This duel starts out almost identically, the only real difference being that I land the Blood Horror after the Immolate. It fees away from me a little bit and means I can follow up with a Shadow Fury with the Dark Soul up, and I land some juicy damage, and already I think this opener just feels far stronger for me. I portal away from his charge, he gets right back on me and goes crazy again with all of his cooldowns. Again, I respond by popping all of my defensives to counter the burst, and this actually lets me focus on putting out damage, and I get him pretty low here. Now he's the one on lower health. I pop my second Dark Soul after getting off another full Seduce here. He sees this and he Trinkets, so here I see an opportunity to keep him locked down and go for the kill with a Chaos Bolt. I didn't go about this perfectly though. I should have held Xyrox in this Pet Seduce a little bit longer, let my Blood Horror and Shadow Fury get fully back on cooldown, and then I could have kept him fully CC'd while I burst and would have really secured the win. Instead, I Chaos Bolt into a Conflagrate. I should have used Chaos Bolt into a Shadow Fury. This lets Xyrox get off his shield wall, but his Rallying Cry actually ends, so he does go down in that same second anyways. With Blood Horror and Shadow Fury still ready to go though, I'm not sure he would have been able to tank my damage at this point anyways. Before we finish up, I need to show this mini clip from one of the duels we had. Xyrox leaps to me, pops Wreckstorm, and reflects my Blood Horror. I just thought it was the most MLG thing ever. And even though it didn't happen in either of the duels I picked to talk through, I felt it deserved to be shown for any of you warriors watching. Anyways, that is going to be all for this episode of Dueling with Cobb. I hope you enjoyed it, and remember to leave a like and comment behind if you did, as it really helps out the views. If you too want to get involved in the series, message me on YouTube with your battle tag and a link to your character's armory page for a chance to appear in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, have an awesome day, and I'm going to catch you all later.